I don't think they can change this. I agree. And I think that even at the initial moment of contact, it looks like it was just leaving that right hand ever so slightly. So,
yeah, I mean, it's not the way, didn't go the way we wanted it to go. Players played hard. You know, now they're going to have to strengthen the resolve. You know, he had an outstanding performance. He's a very good back, great back. Yeah, that exchange, you know, didn't go smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is a big game, and we're not just gonna just not think about it. I mean, this one stings, as I mentioned, but we have to respond, and that our back is against the wall now, so we gotta respond.
This one stings. No truer words have ever been said by a Michigan quarterback. That was Cade McNamara. Thanks to Angelique Shingelis from the Detroit News. That was her video on her Twitter feed. Also, the Jim Harbaugh audio, courtesy of Brad Galley and Channel 7. And the Fox call there that you heard Mike Pereira, the rules analyst, and I think Joel Klatt was chiming in as well. I got that from JDo51's Twitter. He's a good follow. And a welcome in on this Halloween edition. So I broke out the orange shirt for Halloween. I had some pumpkins in studio, but earlier in the week, I the candle was a little bit too tall, and it was burning the top, and it got smoking. I thought I was going to set off the fire alarms here in the studio. I took the pumpkins out. I didn't bring them back in, the tight space back here. So, I mean, I do have some gags and gifts here, maybe I'll just start talking like this if things get a little bit too crazy. If you get tired of just looking at me, I can just throw that one up. I do have a smaller one. Maybe this one will look better on there. If I was messing around, if you're watching this on video, if you're listening to the audio, you don't have any idea what I was talking about. I was putting up some pumpkins in front, some plate pumpkins in front of the video here. But I'm not here to talk about Halloween and candy or scary movies or anything else. I'm here to talk about that game, the nightmare of a game that took place up at Spartan Stadium yesterday. And I decided after the game yesterday to just sleep on it. I didn't take any notes took notes during the game. And then it was over, and then I talked. I did, Josh Henschke and myself did a video. I did a little bit immediately following the game, 10 minutes after the game. I started getting on here crying and screaming about everything that happened, just let it fly. And then I decided after that, I wasn't going to sit around, grinding it out on what was going on with the game. I looked for some distractions, and I found it with the Pistons and Cade Cunningham's debut. And then after that, I was able to take in the second half of Ohio State and Penn State, entertaining game, and Penn State playing better than I thought. And then I just said I'll sleep on it, wake up, and I'll talk about how I'm feeling the day after. I feel the same. I don't feel very good, about the game with Michigan State, that Michigan lost 37-33. They're up 23-14 at the half, so that was a 9-point lead. And then with 6:47 to play in the third, Mike Sanders still scored. Michigan was up 30-14, up 16. Sanders still was doing the Paul Bunyan pose. I wasn't ready to put this one in the win column, but it looked good. Michigan was looking really good on offense. Everything was clicking along for them. The defense was doing well too, and they had overcome some calls that you heard there, and that is going to be talked about a lot. The Ajabo strip and the Hutchinson, the shin down from the QB. And then the second half with Michigan State being down 16, just to go through it, the plays that Michigan State was making. And, Kenneth Walker deserves all the accolades and the Heisman front runner and all that. 5 touchdowns. Incredible. And it wasn't like they were all 1-yarders. I mean, he was punching the one where they ended up tying it. That was on a third down. What was that? A third and 3 going at 58 yards. And Kenneth Walker, it's the weird part with Kenneth Walker. And I said this heading into the game when I watch him. I know football's really hard. Being a really good running back, being a great running back, it's hard. He makes it look really easy. He's in. He made it look easy against Michigan. 5 touchdowns. But the way Michigan State got it going in the second half when they were down by 16 to get the 2 touchdowns and 2-point conversions in there to tie the game at 30 is incredible. You know how long you're like, okay, they scored. You know, Michigan, like, credit Michigan State, man. They're not quitting on Devil's Night, Angels Day, whatever it is, Angels Night up there at Michigan State. The crowd's going crazy, worked into a frenzy. Crowd was great. Man, look at them. But no, they're going to have to get a 2-point conversion. Boom, they get it. And then they had to do it again. And then they did it again and got another one. 4th down plays going for 28 yards. It was a nightmare. And the Michigan defense, which I really liked into the game, but not having the plan and not being able to respond to the tempo and giving up 2 touchdowns because of it, getting 2 penalties because of it. Mike McDonald, who I've been there to heap the praise on, the 33-year-old defensive coordinator for the first time. And it goes back to Jim Harbaugh. These guys weren't ready for it. And I say that's where they got out-coached. They got out-coached there. That wasn't any good. That was bad how they let that happen. That comes back to your preparation and being able to make adjustments, and they weren't able to do that. But, you know, you look through those 2 touchdowns, and one on a 4th and 4, they got a 28-yard pass. Dax Hill was right there. And then previous to the second drive that Michigan State had in the second half, where they ended up getting that was Kenneth Walker went on that 58-yard run on a 3rd and 3. Previous to that drive, Michigan State was 0 of 7 on 3rd down. And then that drive, they picked up a 3rd and 10, a 3rd and 4, and then the 3rd and 3 that Walker went inexplicably 58 yards. So amazing plays there by Michigan State. And that's where I get back to, you know, the calls in this one. And to me, it gets to the irrefutable video evidence, and I complain in all sports about it because the irrefutable video evidence is where you're supposed to watch it, and all 65,000 or whatever Spartan Stadium holds, when they put it up on the screen, everybody can look and agree. Hey, that's what happened. But the plays, like when Kenneth Walker went in for that first touchdown and the ball slipped like right at the goal line, started to move, and I saw the far sideline video of that, I could say, you know what, it looked like it was moving a little bit, just a hair. Boy, this would be a huge call. And you know what? They shouldn't have overturned that one because you know what? It wasn't irrefutable video evidence. And with the shin, with Peyton Thorne, when Ajabo stripped him and Aiden Hutchinson jumped on it in the end zone, that was not, and I know they piece things together with, they see the one video, then they have to look at the other one, and then they always bring in they have another camera view of it. No, they don't. I'm not buying that. If they have another camera view, they should be showing that. But when you have, and this maybe just added on to it with what you're saying, and if you're trying to be objective in your own mind and look at it and say, okay, this is the play, that's the play. But so the shin, it's almost as it's going down, it looks to me like the ball is moving. And whether it's the worst part or added on to it or whatever else, when you have the rules, Mikey rule books, Mike Pereira, and, he's saying that it's coming. Then you got Joel Klatt saying, you know what? If it was called down, I think there's enough clear and irrefutable evidence, he didn't use those words, that the ball actually is coming out where he would have overturned it. So you're thinking, well, you got the rules professional. You got the color analyst saying that he would flip it if it was the other way. That's how much that he saw of it. And it looked like to me that the ball was moving and coming out there a little bit. And that was the call on the field. If the call would have been the shin was down and they would have said, hey, there wasn't enough video evidence to overturn it, even though Klatt thought there was, I get it. but that's not the way that it went at all. So you had a right to be upset about that one. I think also you got to, there were some holds, and that's going to happen. You get a right to be upset about on the second to last drive, Cornelius Johnson, almost over the middle there. Cade McNamara throwing the ball. And the guy's got his arm around him. I mean, you can see that. That one's tough because the previous 5 plays, you're already thinking that the refs, and it's hard not to when you get the momentum going one way. There were some calls. I think they made some right and correct calls there in the second half. And I know they all were going Michigan State's way, and you might be listening and saying, oh, you don't know what you're talking. I thought the one that he picked off the turf, even though Pereira and those guys were like, I don't know, like, look at this angle. I thought that was the correct call. I also thought the targeting call was correctly, that flag was picked up. I also thought, was it Jaden Reed on one of those third downs, made an incredible catch and got his feet. And I mean, that looked like it was the correct call. I mean, there's some other ones, but there's some, the first down call. I think that they've got those right. But when you blatantly blow the one that they did, which was a touchdown, and you take that off the board, that's a tough one to take. And then earlier when Klatt, there was I think it was on DJ Turner when he called the pass interference, and Klatt was like, well, that's a good call. When you looked at the video, it didn't look like a good call at all. He didn't have his hands draped all over him. It looked like he was playing good defense. But those kind of things happen. But when you see a guy with his arm draped around later, the old, you just want to call it consistently. So, officiating was a factor. But as I've just gone through all of this, Michigan shooting themselves in the foot with some penalties. They can look back, and sure, you're going to look at the calls, but I think that they should look back. Blake Corum early on, I don't know if that would have gone for a touchdown, but that would have been down in the red zone for sure, and things would have been looking really good for Michigan on that third down call, and then the pass over to Corum that was right there to him. Michigan also had Andrell Anthony. That was spectacular, the 93-yard touchdown. He got another one. He almost had another one, and what a great game. And he was over there on the sideline with that other, like that toe tap that was just on the turf. I mean, that Michigan found something there, but Anthony had the holding call, which is a tough one. If we're getting down there's another one maybe that you could said certainly could have not been called, but it did. It was called, and that hurt the fabulous freshman there. The tight end flinching when they're going to get a first down. Haskins getting over there, and instead they've got to punt it, and then they have the ball. He didn't have trouble with the snap. He had trouble with the execution of getting ready to punt the ball, so he had to fake it, and then he came up short. That hurt. And so those things right there, you got to overcome the referee calls. And but the tempo part wasn't any good. And then I want to get to the part where J.J. McCarthy came in after he had fumbled the ball, and Michigan State luckily didn't recover it. Michigan was able to kick the field goal to go up 33-30, but to put McCarthy back in there, if you remember McNamara, there was a third down play where he had the corner coming free at him, and he just looked at him right in the face, and he knew he was going to have to take the shot, and he threw it over there to the left side, and he did. He was wobbly after that. That could have been the play where you're over there and he's in concussion protocol and went into the tent. I talked with somebody today who was on the sideline at Spartan Stadium on the Michigan sideline by the medical tent. And that person, when asked if what McNamara was in the tent when McCarthy went out there and fumbled, the answer was no. But that could have been working through something, as Harbaugh said, could have been the protocol when it came down to check McNamara for a concussion after that hit, putting it all together. So something to look at, and something that when you examine the tape, seeing if that hit from the corner coming in, if that was the one. And Yeah, so what we're thinking is that Harbaugh would not have put McCarthy in there because Cade was cooking, and unless he was in the protocol or unless he, wasn't available. I don't know. You don't get him off the hook. You're playing with fire to begin with. We knew that. Is it more important to, play the quarterback carousel with the 5-star to keep him happy, or was it to win that game? When you have a player that's going off, like McNamara was, man, he's playing of course it was his best game at Michigan, but man, he was dealing. And so, yeah, 2 fumbles there by McCarthy. Certainly one of them, you say on Harbaugh, it was on him. Maybe the second one was too, which is almost inexplicable. But, if you don't have your quarterback available, you go to the backup. But the biggest part was with Harbaugh and his defensive coordinator. Don Brown last year refused to adjust. He said, we're going to be more aggressive. We're going to keep our guys out there on the corner. Then we're going to dare them to throw. And they kept throwing. And Rocky Lombardi and Ricky White on Halloween 2020, 196 yards. It was terrible. But but Jim Harbaugh and Mike McDonald and the defensive staff not being ready for tempo. You know what? You can't do a lot of pre-snap moving around, certainly substituting and shuffling guys around and giving them different looks, because you know what? When you get caught with your pants down once, like they did at the end of the first quarter, and it just happens repeatedly, it cost them 2 touchdowns, had 2 penalties on it. That was the story of the tempo was the story of the game. Kenneth Walker was the story of the game. Michigan State getting 3 third downs in a row on a second drive when they're down 16 to get another, not only touchdown, but another 2-point conversion. That's the story of the drive or of the game, more than Michigan getting robbed by the officials. And I'll admit, crying about the officials is an easy thing to do. And I'll cry about I already have, about the overturn of the Hutchinson touchdown and not getting a defensive pass interference on Cornelius Johnson down there. They kicked that one. They look at the film and they go back and they're being evaluated. Whoever's the lead official there, it's got his pen out saying, "Yeah, you guys blew that one." I don't know how wherever the tick mark is of not correctly getting that one right. I don't know. They're sending some kind of an apology. I don't want an apology. We all know that they missed it. So the thing from here is, where does Michigan go? They've got, they go home for, it looks like, what's going to be a night game against Indiana. And no, it's hard a day after to, think about, well, it's going to be a fun day. Let's get back up on the horse. And you know what? You don't have to. Eat some candy. Bob for some apples. Dress up in your Halloween gear. I feel like I've been a member of the Squid Game after watching that particular contest, and I came up short. And if you watch Squid Games, you know what happens when you come up short in the Squid Games. It's not good. I don't know. All right. So that's, did I mention everything that I wanted to? I think so. Thanks for watching or listening. Have a great, have as good a Halloween as you possibly can. I'll be back here tomorrow. It's going to be an exciting day. Till then,